I don't buy anything unless I'm buying it under market. That's just how it is. And a lot of people have a hard time fathoming that happening, but if you're patient and you're always diligently looking, you can always find property under market. Hey, we're in a very hot market here right now. There is demand, and when there's demand, people will overpay. Things get pushed up to a ridiculous level. People are buying on a 4% cap. It's hard to find a building to buy for yourself. Almost everybody's stuck renting. That's how it is. I mean, that's how I capitalize, is I'm renting to people. And, you know, a guy needs 4,000 feet. Hard to find a 4,000 square foot building. Hard to find a 10,000 square foot building. No, it's just hard for to have the perfect situation. I have this opportunity to sell because I have a vacancy.
Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here. I'm here with Tom from FlipAnythingUSA. You guys probably seen the video. I did an interview with him earlier, and Manny from 2000 Books. And we're actually here in Austin today. Tom has agreed to show us around. Tom is like my big real estate mentor. You know, I've been teaching you guys about the real estate deals that I do, mostly very small residential. I've got 26 units, but Tom is he's the guru. He really takes, if you want to take it to the next level. And so what we're going to do is we're just kind of looking at some of Tom's properties. He's kind of answering questions, kind of mentoring us. Everyone needs a mentor. It doesn't matter where you're at in life, and so that's what we're doing here. So yeah,
a lot of people know that follow me already. I generally, when I rent a little bit under market, to be honest. And the reason I do that is because I've been through so many ups and downs. I've been doing this for over 35 years. And so I've had the ups and downs. The way I operate, I keep rents a little bit low, because if the economy does take a dive and does turn down, I don't want my tenants to leave. And so even if somebody, they start looking to save money, they look and they go, geez, somebody slashed their rental rate 20%. Now it's competitive with mine, but that's it. Nobody wants to move if they don't have to. And I always have the option to knock it down, and I work with people. Anyways, if things go bad, I consider my tenants, I consider kind of like pseudo partners. We're all in this together. I need them, they need the property, and so I try to always maintain that. But so I don't know, I'll make sure I answered your question. So the return on investment, I think they're going to want to see that even with say a 30% vacancy rate, that you're going to be able to make your mortgage. And then they're also going to factor in, are these leases, they're going to feel good with leases that are 2 to 3 years. Once you have a reputation with your bank that they trust you, then they're going to go, oh yeah, no problem. They have limitations. They're regulated. They have things they have to, you have to meet. But they're certainly going to be a lot nicer to somebody like me with a good record, and a long history of paying bills as agreed and making money on properties and that sort of thing. The very first property I bought, and if you haven't seen it, go watch my channel, FlipAnythingUSA, and look at my first investment. I was 19 years old, and I bought a commercial building. It was 6,000 square feet, and actually the boss, the guy that I'd worked for that let me go because the economy was so bad, he had owned it, lost it, and it was foreclosed upon. And I was just driving around with an agent looking for something to lease, and we pull up to this building, and he says, well, how'd you like to buy it? And I laughed because I had hair down to my shoulders. I had no credit, and I had like chronic red eye from allergies and things, and so I always looked like I was high with a combination of long hair and red eyes. It wasn't great. But he said, they'll never even see it, we just make an offer. And I said, well, he said we're going to get him to owner finance, and that's what turned me on to owner financing. Well, this is back when things cost interest rates were like 10%. That was the average rate. And so but they didn't want the building getting vandalized. They didn't like it sitting empty. So they accepted my offer of $10,000 down, and I got a 6-month escrow. That's the time before I have to come up with the 10 grand. So I put like 500 down, but they let me have access to the building. I said I need to clean it up and fix it up, and that way nobody go in there and vandalize it. That made them feel comfortable. But I basically moved in and went to work, started building cabinets, not paying rent. And the money that I wasn't paying on rent, I was putting to the side for the down payment. And so when 6 months was up, I'd had my 10 grand. But back then, you could actually do a thing what's called an AITD, also known as a wrap. A wrap. Well, the problem with wraparounds are usually within the loan. Like if I loaned you money, I'm going to say there's going to be what we call an alienation clause.
Right.
And I don't want to confuse people. I don't want to dissuade people. Listen, get into real estate, make money. It's the easiest money you'll ever make. Okay.
Yeah.
But you'll learn about this stuff, and most of it doesn't matter yet. But they sold it to me under what you called a wrap, also known as an AITD, which stands for All-Inclusive Trust Deed. So in other words, they took the 4 underlying trust deeds that were paid to 4 different people, and they wrapped them inside of one. So I paid them, and then they paid the others.
Right.
So I bought it, owner financed. I walked out in front of the building because I had a for sale sign in front of it. I was ready to get that thing moved down and put my own sign up for my company. And a guy stops by and he says, "Hey, what do they want for the building?" And I said, "Well, I just bought it." And he said, "Well, what did you pay?" And I told him, he said, "I'll give you $20,000 more for it right now." And I was like, you know, my eyes got about that big because I'm like 19 years old and I don't even have 20 grand, you know. And I thought, wow. And, you know, I'd already been studying real estate. That's why I wasn't afraid to buy something. But that's what really turned me on. I thought, how long would it take me to earn and save $20,000?
Exactly, yeah.
So it just seemed like a pipe dream at the time. So I kept the building, and I had even harder times because things got really tough. I fell behind in my payments, but it was not a big deal because it was owner carried. Right. There's no TRW, there's no tracking it. So it didn't hurt the credit that I didn't have anyways. Right. And so later on, you know, within the next several years, actually, from 19 to 28, that's where I made my first million. So when I was 28 years old, you know, I didn't need my cabinet shop anymore. I'd already had accumulated about $1 million worth of equity in the real estate that I had, and I realized I don't even need this anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And so I sold the company, retained the real estate, kept the cash flow coming in, and that's what really got me started, was that owner financing on that first deal. I probably owner financed the next several deals, or I partnered. And some of you guys watch, you know, I started looking at houses, and I you know, I'd get the good deal, and then I'd go to somebody else for the cash. We'd buy it, we'd split the money. Then pretty soon I had my own cash, and I didn't need the partner. So look, where's we're coming up ahead here. So these are apartment buildings. Okay, I love apartment buildings. I know some of you guys watch Grant Cardone. And I'm betting he owns a lot of Texas apartment buildings because there was tons of opportunities, and I jumped in on it too. And I used to own all these buildings you see on both sides of the street right here. It wasn't yellow when I had it back then. I don't know what they call that. And then over here, Plaza del Norte. These are actually sister properties across the street from each other. You can see they're similar in style. You can recognize that gray one as far as the roof lines and stuff are very similar to this one. And I mean, it just looks like hell. Look at this. I mean, it's a dump. It's a shithole to me. I don't like it. But I paid $10,000 a unit. I paid $340,000 for this place. Okay, both of this. This is over 30,000 square feet. 21 900 square foot units here. 12 or 13 900 square foots over here.
Yeah.
And then, so I bought these, and you know, they just cash flowed. They just cash flowed, and I kept raising the rent as rents went up. And, you know, but at some point I got rid of them. But let's talk about the purchase on this. I got here second. Somebody was already in line and bought these for $400,000. And I was second. It kills me. And that's why I always tell you, if you're not first, the best place to be is number 2. So you insist on saying, I want to put a backup offer. I want to make a backup offer.
Right.
It's very insistent. This is back when I was probably 30 years old now. And I'd already moved from California to this area. And so and these are being bought directly from the banks that had foreclosed on them. So every day I'm calling them saying, look, are they going to close or what? I thought they was going to close last week, you know. And next thing you know, they go, no, they're still buying it. And by the way, I said, well, they're buying it for $400,000, right? And he said, yeah. He goes, well, we kind of changed it. I go, what? They, even while I'm telling them, don't sell it to them, sell it to me for $400,000. These guys successfully renegotiated this thing to, okay, we'll give you $400,000, but you got to give us $60,000 back.
For repairs? Or
and then we'll put it in. And so, and that way the bank feels better that, oh, we know that, you know, A, you've got money in it, but we know it's even better. I mean, it's stupid, but that's what they did. And so I'm just beside myself that they gave him another break. Well, then these guys still couldn't get the money together.
Yeah.
And then they called me. They said, "You still want it?" I go, "Yeah, $340,000." And so they sold it to me for $340,000.
Yeah.
But I had to put up I put up 4 $15,000 lines of credit or letters of credit. I'm sorry, letters of credit. So what that means to you is this: I paid $400,000 for it, but 4 of those were letters of credit for $15,000. I think that's the right term. And what happened is they would go and see that I did $15,000 worth of improvements. They'd give me $15,000 back, and we did this 4 times.
Oh, I see.
That way, they were assured the improvements were made.
Right.
And
but you didn't just strip the equity from the.
Yeah, I did. I wasn't playing them or flipping. And it's interesting because, this is a cool little place. It kind of reminds me of the 90210 show from way back,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can see. And it was pretty clean.
It's a nicer building than compared to others.
Yeah, this one here, I'll tell you, I would paint this thing, brand new paint job, spent about $4,000, and it would look like shit 2 weeks later. It was unbelievable. Kids would walk along with crayons in the walls. Now, I don't want to dissuade anybody. It's just the facts. It's still cash flowed like crazy.
Right, the numbers is what's important.
My clientele, and listen, this is being run like shit. This is horrible. When I had this was spick and span clean.